Yo, what's going on, guys? Gonna be showing you how to play Ekko jungle like a pro in 14 minutes. For your runes, you're gonna want Predator, Sudden Impact, Eyeball Collection with Ingenious Hunter, Absolute Focus, and Gathering Storm. Ekko's Dark Harvest page still works. The Predator page is starting to take over the meta a bit, and it makes your ganks a lot more consistent. You're going to want to start W. It's going to be giving you the most optimal clear in terms of health and damage at level 1. You can start Q if the enemy team invades you. Otherwise, you're just going to start W 9 out of 10 times. Ekko's full clear certainly isn't the best. He finishes around 330, and his 5 camp clear he finishes around 315. But if you guys want to have access to the best browser, let me introduce you to our sponsor. Opera GX is hands down the best browser for gamers. With other browsers, you have to pull up several tabs and apps, and frankly, it can get messy and use a lot of computing power. With Opera GX, everything you need is quickly and easily accessible through the sidebar. You can log on to Twitch directly through the sidebar and get notifications when a streamer you follow goes live. You can also seamlessly use Discord, Facebook Messenger, and WhatsApp to easily keep up with your friends and gaming groups. And with GX Player, you can log into Spotify, Apple Music, or YouTube Music. I listen to Spotify myself, and what's awesome is I can turn on a YouTube video and the music automatically pauses for me, then resumes when I close the video. Other browsers have a serious lack of customization, so you'll be very pleased to hear that that's not the case with Opera GX. Of course, there's light and dark mode. On top of that, Opera also offers tons of special themes and wallpapers. And with GX Corner, you can easily stay up to date with free games, awesome deals, currently 80% off on The Witcher, the hottest new releases such as the new Demon Slayer game, and even keep up with daily gaming news like this article from Netflix Gaming. GX is also available on mobile. What more could you want? Download now by clicking the link in the description. When you're starting your camps, feel free to throw your Q out ahead of time. It'll keep moving after the initial toss, and it's really fat to where it'll hit the whole camp. This will get your Q going on cooldown, and it will drag the monster camp to you so you can start fighting it sooner. I do it here even against the Raptors. I even E forward Q and then I E into the camp. Ideally, you should be using your E against the largest monster. You're going to be losing most of your Scuttlecrab fights on Ekko, which is a big reason why I like Predator. You can full clear straight into recall. Here I had no mid prio or top prio, so going for Scuttle fight, even though I can solo Ivern, would have been a really bad idea. Other than Ivern and some off meta junglers, you're not really going to be able to solo any jungler for Scuttle fight. This route also sets you up to have more items than the enemy jungler when you fight them on a Scuttlecrab or in a gank. Ivern's being greedy and wants double Scuttle. We W and then immediately E to cover up most of our W animation, and we Q. W, E, Q into him. The Q slows him, which doesn't really allow him to escape my stun, and plus my red buff autos are slowing him as well. Try to move in between each auto attack while I'm hitting him, and then we finish him off with a Q auto attack, and we use our Predator. We jump on the Qiyana and start mashing her. I'm only doing this to try to help my Yasuo out with lane. I didn't think this could possibly lead to a kill, since she was full HP. Unfortunately, Yasuo bit off a bit more than he can chew, and he ends up dying. Qiyana wants to shove in the wave since her wave's slow pushing, and she ends up staying, which is nice for me. I loop back around, I hold on to all my abilities, I activate my W, auto attacker, QE, and she is dead. Ideally, you want to hit them with an E, then a Q. That way it's really hard for you to miss the first part of your Q, which has the slow to it and obviously damage. The closer you are when you Q, they have a lot less time to react, which makes it harder for them to dodge. You can stay on the map for a really long time after your first back and you've gotten your boots and dark seal. This is your most optimal first back you can get, because now you can start building up your dark seal stacks. Notice how we don't waste any abilities when we run up to her. We let the Predator do its work and we maximize its movement speed. It lasts for a really long time. I think it's about 8 seconds. And when you first hit them, you lose that movement speed. So you might as well get up into melee mode, auto attack Q or Q auto, and then hold on to your E as an extra gap closer. This is all assuming that you have enough space to run them down with Predator without putting yourself in harm's way underneath their turret to die. The first thing I needed to do here was drop a W on top of myself before I do anything else. That way I can get my stun off and don't die from her burst. Instead, I E away, Q her, and then I decide I'm going to go back in with my R, and I haven't even used my W. This sets it up to where with her burst, she can get a full kill on me without me being able to come outside of the stun and then kill her. It's very easy to land your W on people when you know where they want to move and why. In this case, she obviously wanted to get a kill on me because she had more health. So I could lay it defensively on top of myself or slightly behind me and I'd win the fight. Against Camille, since she's obviously going to want to get away 1 versus 2, I laid my W slightly behind her when I was ganking her. So if she did go for the most obvious escape and safest escape, she would be punished for it. You can take camps at the same time. The easiest ones to do is blue and Gromp at the same time. I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you are at least level 3 or higher, otherwise you'll lose too much health, and if you end up resetting it, you'll be absolutely screwed. We're going to go ahead and use our Predator. It's on an extremely short cooldown. We're going to lay our W on their 𝗕𝗂𝗏. I EQ in on top of the Jhin, and I hit them both with the back end of my Q, which has lots of damage. I flash the Xerath damage, stay on top of the Jhin, finish him off, and then E to get the Xerath. And then I also hit Xerath with the back end of my Q as well. Whenever you use Predator, you want to try to come up from behind the enemies. That way when they try to go to escape, you have the cutoff on them and you can easily land your abilities. The only time this isn't true is if you have a very long space to chase them, in which case you can Predator early and just run straight at them like I do here. I can run 𝐒𝐿 all the way down. She even dashes away. I can take a really nice angle. I W to cut off her escape route, E over the wall, and hit her with a Q, and she's dead. Ekko's E can go over most walls in League of Legends. Any thin, small, or medium wall you can go over, and it makes dives and escaping and chasing really easy. I was waiting for Yasuo to shove out the wave so we can gank. I W out of vision, which is actually pretty optimal. If you W when the enemies can't see you, so you're over a wall or in a bush, they don't get to see half of your W's initial animation, so they have a lot less time to react and they'll be a lot more surprised. My bot lane is getting crushed right now, getting killed under turret. Both of them, we drop W, we hit Xerath with the Q, which holds him inside so we can stun him. We run up and start autoing. We have our R to heal off of, so I know we can get all of our health back. I waited till Jhin was inside of my R shadow. We go back in on him, but since he's full health, we just really can't do a whole lot to them. They're both low, but I'm also low, so this whole situation kind of sucks. If they're just a little bit lower, I could probably kill both of them. Plus, I'm sitting on a lot of gold and I have some shut down, so I don't really want to die here. Since the enemy bot's playing so aggro, we're going to just keep returning back to there and ignore our top side jungle a little bit. We are all the way behind them, but since we have Predator and we have a long distance to chase them, we can obviously catch up. We W to try to cut off their escape route, but right as I W, Xerath flashes forward. It was really weird. It's like he didn't see me. I into him, hit him with a Q. I should have used my rocket belt here. That way I could hit Jhin with the second part of my Q. It would have given me a lot of extra damage. You see me walking towards him, but I stopped to auto, so I don't hit him with the second part of it. But that's when using your rocket belt's really good, to stay in auto range and also land both parts of your Q. Plus I would have hit him with the rocket belt itself. My E's on a pretty short cooldown at this point, so I E over the wall and wait for him to shove up, and now my E's back up. I W to try to get vision of bush, rocket belt into him, EQ, blue smite him, and then run him down. I let the second part of my Q finish him off. That way I can also run faster behind him, so I didn't have to stand still to auto him for the last time. So even if he did try to flash away, I still would have had him. After any successful gank or altercation, you should try to look to take an objective if you can do so safely. Qiyana runs at us, so we smack her with a Q and then finish her off with an E. We're starting to reach critical mass here. Once you get fed enough on Ekko, you're like an Evelynn who's Super Saiyan 3, and Evelynn can't even go Super Saiyan. Ekko's way more mobile than Evelynn. He has more AoE damage and just a way better champion overall. The harder thing about Ekko is getting the gold lead. Getting kills on him can be a little bit more challenging in the early game than it is on Evelynn. That's why I love Predator on him. Here we pop Predator, E over the wall, rocket belt into Xerath, hit him with a Q. We get our passive movement speed bonus. The Ivern snares us, so we can't really stay on top of them too well. So I kind of just have to turn on Daisy. I'm going to beat her down because she's OP. If you don't kill Daisy and you're in these long, weird fights, she just ruins the fights. Ivern way oversteps, we into him, finish him off. I'm super low at this point. I should have just R'd to get my whole health bar back. The more damage you take in a short period of time, when you R, you'll get most of your health back. And I just kind of overstand. Jhin finishes me off. This is one of my biggest mistakes of the game, was just being ridiculously greedy. We'd already gotten 2 kills, and we could have just taken Ivern's whole jungle. Remember when I said your E can go over pretty much any wall? Feel free to use it to take your camps faster. It's not just for fighting champions. I see the enemy bot lane pulling off. Clearly they want to go get vision or break my pink ward. That is stopping their ward. I have my oracles on so I can see Xerath. So I pop the wall with my E, hit him with Q, and he is a goner. Ivern doesn't have a snare. I blue smite and rocket belt into him. We want to try to stay on top of him as possible. We E to finish off the Jhin, R back for health so he doesn't kill us again. And we're so fast after applying our passive. You just have to hit a champion 3 times and you get absurd movement speed, and you do a lot of extra damage, and you can apply it per unique champion as well. That's why you see us just speeding up off of each person. Qiyana did a guilt roam where she roamed down just because Yasuo had. We E into her and she's dead. She should have just stayed for plates. Since we're so far ahead and we're full health, we might as well stay and take his camps. We wait in a forward position where I figured they would come to ward or push out onto the map, but they don't really. Their bot lane steps up though. We drop W, we EQ into the Xerath, and our E follows his flash like the same way a Warwick Q would do. We use Rocket Belt to stay on top of both of them and to do some damage. It's a great gap closer. We still have our blue smite, so we smack him with that, lay on him with our auto attacks, and our ultimate's about to be up, so I'm actually comfortable diving. Even if he snares me, I can always R out and get all my health back. Go straight back to your shadow. Keep an eye on that, because if an enemy's behind you, it's a really good time to R, because you can smack him with it and even put your W on top of your R and then R back into it. And if your R slices through your W, even if it's not right on top, if your R is like behind your W but the string between you and your R crosses through your W, it'll still stun, which is really awesome. We EQ over the wall and then it finishes her off just like we talked about. You can go over pretty much any wall in Ekko. I'd recommend going the training tool to test that out, figure out which ones you can't go over. That way you can just EQ. Easy combo. In an ideal situation, you're gonna Predator first, run them down, W from outside of their vision so they can't see it initially, E into them, throw out a Q, and then start bashing them. In this situation, it would have been better if we E'd them first and made contact with an auto and then Q'd. That way we don't miss it, because we weren't really close enough to either one of them. But we're fed enough to where just one E auto and a Rocket Belt and Jhin dies super fast. We are back to try to catch back up to Xerath. He has nowhere to go and he is a goner. The biggest thing the enemy team is running against right now is they don't have the composition. Xerath and Jhin are both very immobile, super easy for me to land my W and my Qs on and for me to run down, and neither one of them can go invisible, so it's super easy for me to stay on target. The enemy team needed some kind of tank. Having a Leona or a Braum would have made things much more difficult for us. Ekko doesn't generally like to build tenacity. Building Merc Treads or taking tenacity in your runes sucks. If they can stack just 1 or 2 CCs on top of you, it's super easy for them to kill you, because your R is a big part of what makes you tanky, and your mobility from your passive is what makes you tanky, because you're so slippery. Make sure once you do build your lead, you try to spend as much time in the enemy's jungle instead of your jungle as possible, as long as it's efficient and safe. We're going to go ahead and E straight into Ivern, pop him with a Q, and we even landed our stun on him, which is nice. We're going to run the Jhin down, kill him with a single auto attack, and we're good to go. Typically, for your third item, you'll be going for the Rabadon on Ekko. First item is Rocket Belt, second item is usually going to be Lichbane, third is Rabadon. The only time you're going to go Rabadon second item is if you already have like fully stacked Mejaias, and that's not going to be most games. So just generally think of Rabadon as your third item. Generally, fourth item will be Void Staff, fifth could be a Morello or even an Hourglass. I'm not a huge fan of Hourglass on Ekko, but you can definitely make it work. We land our passive on Camille, so we start zooming, and plus our first part of your Q is a slow, so it's really hard to actually chase Ekko if he's hitting you with his Qs. We're smashing Camille with our autos. We are out to get our health back. We're in a really bad situation where Camille R's on top of us here. Luckily, we have enough damage to finish her and then get away. If Ivern kept chasing, we could kill him with one EQ auto. He'd absolutely get blown up. You just have to hit people 3 times on Ekko, because that's your passive, and your passive does a lot of damage and it speeds you up. So 2 parts of your Q and an E, or 1 EQ auto, and that's 3 parts and they're dead. I laid the control word here to go fishing. I want one of them to step up to try to break it. Yasuo completely ruined it. I don't think he knew what we were trying to do. Someone was going to step up to break that because they're like, ooh, free pink word, but instead Yasuo runs up way outside of my dash range. I can't dash over that part of the wall. So I go in, I can't quite get to the Jhin, even with using my Rocket Belt, and it was just a big waste, and now we just have to run. Just remember to keep using your Predator whenever it's up and there's an enemy champion you can gank or kill. Don't just forget to use it or do something dumb like sell your boots. Also keep using your Rocket Belt. In every fight, you should be leading with a Predator, a W, into an E Rocket Belt auto Q. That should be like every single fight, and then you use your R when you need to use it. We flash the wall to finish off the Xerath. Big hit. We're on top of the Jhin. Camille puts me in a weird spot, but I have my R, so she goes kaboom. Then Jhin dies. At this point, the game really is over. There's only 2 of them in their Nexus, and there's no way they can fight me off. We're absolutely too enormous for this. Ivern is a little bit overloaded, but if you're fed enough, it just makes him completely obsolete. He's good when you're equally fed or behind him, but when you're ahead of him, there's just nothing you can do. Going back to the biggest reason why I like this build is its consistency. When you're going Dark Harvest or Electrocute on Ekko, it can be very difficult to build that early game lead, which allows you to do whatever you want. When you take Predator, it allows your ganks to work consistently, and that's what you need on Ekko. I hope you guys enjoyed this Ekko jungle commentary guide. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. My name is KingStix. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time. We had the most damage dealt because we were the most fed and we're playing a hyper carry. Surprisingly, we also had the most damage taken. It is doable because of Ekko's R, but still a little bit rare to see. I suppose if we had a real tank on our team, we wouldn't have had the highest. And then for our rune damage, Sun impacted the most since we were so fed. Sun impact outscales Predator in terms of damage output, but obviously the Predator movement speed, it's hard to put a price on that.